Rabbi Shai. Ah! Eli Stefansky. Live from the Belsky home in Cedarhurst. We are in the midst of a campaign. Anybody here was on the phone for the last 2-3 hours pushing the campaign, and Baruch Hashem, it's going very, very well. We're at approximately $450,000. We just have to get to $1 million. No, it's not. It's going really, really well. And I want to share with you some of I had, earlier, maybe 3 hours ago, people were sending in money and notes. So I took note of some of these notes and I put them in my slides here, and I would like to share them with you. Here we go. Tzvisat, 3,700 shekel. That's approximately $1,000, I guess. Thanking you for changing my life. Moshe Bachner, $10,008. You guys know him? Moshe Bachner. Tiffenbrunn Jewelry, $100. Thank you, Reb Eli, for enhancing my life every day for over a year now. Every day, Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. This touched me. Dovi Glauber, for the best boss ever, $1,300. That's his boss, Yossi Klein. Without Dovi Glauber, and Yossi Klein doesn't know that I'm showing this, but without Dovi, Yossi Klein wouldn't be able to be doing what he's doing right now. And Yossi Klein just told me last night, he said in front of a few people, he said, the biggest kiss from Hashem that he had was that he has Dovi Glauber working for him, because now he's able to do the campaign. And of course, the whole thing is Yossi Klein started this thing, and we're here because of him. So Yishkoyach Yossi, Yishkoyach Nistanol's here, Yishkoyach Mark Ashkenazi, Yishkoyach Avigdor Fold, who flew in from Eretz Yisrael, Tomer Levy, who flew in from Eretz Yisrael, just for tonight. So it's overwhelming. I know I'm going to forget things, but I'll tell you what comes to heart, words that I didn't prepare. The fact that so many people, I don't know how many, 800 to 1,000 people took upon themselves pages and went out of their comfort zone. Tonight I've seen people making phone calls to people that it's not very comfortable. It's not comfortable to make that phone call. And people went out of their comfort zone to increase Torah. It's a tremendous zchus. Even if people didn't pick up the phone, and even if they did, and if they didn't give you money, it doesn't matter. The zchus. Because Baruch is looking down and he's proud of you. He's happy that you're going out of your comfort zone for Dvar Mitzvah. That's what it is. You're going out of your comfort zone to help another Yid. That's what it is. Chesed. It's chesed in Torah. You're trying to get another Jew to change his life through learning Torah. So that's unbelievable, and you should all be very proud of yourselves, whether you took a page, whether you donated, and I don't even know what the number is. Maybe 4,000 people donated already. It's tremendous. It's unbelievable. To me, it's the first time we're doing this. I'm not used to this. I was never on this side of it, watching every 20 seconds another 100,000, another 118, another 360, $10,000. The guy $10,000. Somebody just donated $15,000. Ari Haas, Yishkoyach Ari Haas. I don't know if you're still here. He walked in here. He came, said he wants to give a big donation, and he walked out. So Yishkoyach Gadol. Anonymous, $180. In honor of Reb Eli for changing mine and so many others' lives. Thank you. Thank you also to the MDY team behind the scenes and to the Chicago MDY Chevra by Anonymous. Shamshi Meir Shlafrak. He's somebody that's very, very important to me. He sits right next to me to my right side, right behind me in the English here, and in the same exact spot in the Hebrew here. Sometimes he does the Hebrew, sometimes he does the English, depending. He had a baby recently, so it's better for him to do the Hebrew. $1,000. In honor of Reb Eli and the entire MDY team who bring so much enjoyment to every day. So our boys, if you're hearing this year, unless it's 5 years from now, but if you're hearing this year tomorrow, because people do watch this year at different times. If you're hearing this year in the morning, you should know that we're in the midst of this campaign. And I was speaking to my chavrus. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know today's a campaign. I have a bunch of phone calls to make." He took upon himself $10,000 with Mendy. So people need to know about it. Let them know. This is just a sample that I found. I didn't go through all of them, but these made an impression on me. of what people put on their page. And this is from last night, so they probably did a lot better than this. But Michael Chestel from Florida, you all know him from the Everglades. He says, America's Daf Yomi, led by the indefatigable, whatever, Reb Eli Stefansky, has literally changed not only my life, but the life of thousands of others through his daily Daf Yomi shir. MDY is launching its first ever campaign to enhance the shir and grow it even more. Please help me reach my goal to raise a mere $5,000 towards this cause. By participating, you too can share in the merit of MDY receives from inspiring others to grow in Torah and to become better, more sensitive people. Thank you so much for continuing this request. I don't reach out often, but when I do, you can be sure it's for an important cause. Michael, the Everglades guy, Chesel. That's one. The work Rebellion MDY team does, this is from Yitzi Eisenthal, something like that. The work Rebellion MDY team does every day to ensure that a clear and precise shir is given to 25,000+ listeners is a lot more than what we can repay. It's a lot more than what we can repay. You hear what he's saying? I didn't say it, he said it. Raising these funds to help them continue doing what they do best is the least I can do to show my appreciation. First, I'll tell you, please help me reach my goal. Thanks in advance. He raised $154 out of 800. Go to his page right now, Rabbi. Help this guy out. And once you're at it, help Mr. Ping Pong out. He is doing Shvachmoid. What's the name of your page?
Glenn Ackerman.
How much did you raise so far?
It's about 200.
200, my friend. You need new friends.
I'm trying.
You need new friends. What do you mean? I know you're trying.
I'm trying.
I don't doubt it for a second. After how many people did you get?
I got a lot of callbacks.
$200 from 300 donors?
No.
Okay.
I got a lot of callbacks coming.
Okay, beautiful. Pick it up right now.
It all counts.
Okay. Beautiful. But boys, here's a message from Yoshi. He gave 200 shekel. Yoshi's our artist. In honor of Rebelli, who has taught me, you read it. I can't read it now. Who taught me much about commitment, passion, and sacrifice, radiates his love of Torah to us each day. It's a great zchus to share in his incredible journey and take part in this epic Kiddush Hashem. Shkoyach Yoshi. I cried when I read it. Jack Grazi, $10,000. Another person I owe a tremendous person because he went out of his comfort zone, like I mentioned yesterday. He took me to his father-in-law, and I know what it means to bring somebody to your father-in-law because I've never done it. I refuse, and he did it for the very first time for me. So I very much appreciate it, and to many other people. This is choshev to me. Ari Ben Shushan, who's a tremendous Talmid Chacham and one of the best speakers of our generation. He spoke at the Shabbaton, and to me, he was incredible. Just anybody heard of incredible. To the great Reb Shlomo Lazarin, listen to what he writes here. Shlomo Lazarin is a tzaddik. He put $5,000 on my page. He put $500 on Yossi Klein's page. He just pushes the limits. An incredible yid. Again, to the great Reb Shlomo Lazarin, an incredible yid. Like a 4:30 a.m. learning kind of yid. You hear this? Like 4:30 a.m. learning kind of yid. He's a yid that gets up at 4:30 in the morning to learn every single morning. This was supposed to be a video of the unbelievable Reb Shmuley Bornstein, and unfortunately my computer is not working very well. Mark said it's because I sat on it a few times. Maybe it's Tomer's. I sat on it yesterday. So
what did he say?
He said you should donate to MDY. I'm serious. It's going around. You'll see the clip, and if Yosef decides to put it on somehow, if he gets to it, it's on my phone. What?
Eisenthal just went up to 191 from 154. Yeah,
the guy who just
again you showed
that. Really? But 154 was yesterday. 24 hours, he went up $40.
Hey, listen, he's
wow.
He's
so I was working with Ackerman and Eisenthal. You're in a race. You got him beat by $6. Unreal. You know what? Let's make some calls to Manchester. Maybe we can help out over there.
Dovey Hirschberg just put
they work in $6 increments over there. It's unbelievable.
Who's Dovey Hirschberg? Just put $180 on your page a minute ago.
Dovey Hirschberg just put $180 on my page a minute ago. Shkoyach. But we only announced $1,000 and up.
Okay.
From now on.
We'll add a zero at the end. He's 1,800 now.
Dovey Shkoyach Gadol. The Masechta. I think I just insulted all the people in Manchester. Don't pay attention. I'm half asleep. Nothing counts. I love you, Shimmy, all the guys over there. I'm just saying because the reason I'm stucking Manchester because David Badil is sitting right over here. Right, David? Say hello. Say hello.
The best place.
It's the best place. Anonymous was saving speedy. You're lying. You told me there. You can't wait to get out of there. For the saving speedy return of all the hostages, Rabbi Sai, we have to daven. We have to have them in mind. Refuah Shelaima Elimlech ben Tzipora Paras HaChodesh. Another Paras HaChodesh. Linishma zechus ben Moshe Linishma zechus bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh. Anytime I slur, you just kick me in the
Okay, I'll step on your toe.
Yosef Ben Chaya Sara for all the zchusim that come from supporting the HaTorah. Paras HaYoim Refuah Shelaima Simcha Ahron Yoel Ben Sarah Ita, MDY participant and prime facilitator of the Pride of Baltimore. What is this? I hope so. Kilas Kodesh Ner Talmud Daily Learning Chat. It's about the Yomi from his family of golden doves. So Refuah Shelaima to Simcha Ahron Yoel. We just had dinner from him. You guys, who was with me in Baltimore? What's the matter? Yeah, but then I'm crooked.
No, it's fine.
Makes your mouth look straight.
It's okay. Let's do it straight. Yeah, much better. Gedalia Miller, Hatzlucha of MDY campaign and Reb Eli and family, KesherNavshi.org. Third, Parnas Hayoim, Samuel Eliani, Reb Eli, Daf Badchen. You guys hear that? Reb Eli, the Daf Badchen. That's a new one. The island didn't get it here. The Art of the Month, anonymous for the zechus for an easy childbirth, his daughter and a healthy baby. Moshe, do you want to make up for what you did that other night? You want to say like something? You want to apologize to your wife, maybe? No. You sure? Hold on. Here's the guy that jumped up and what did you do? You screamed what?
It was an outpouring of love to the MDY family.
So now you'll have an outpouring of love to your wife. What do you have to say? Say something. It's only in front of 25,000 people. Nothing.
See you by the Shabbaton.
Okay, okay. This thing got crooked here. Rabbi said we have a phenomenal daf. I have a very, very interesting question. I want to ask the video guy as well. This is a question for anybody in the room. It sounds strange, and you might guess the right answer, but if you do, something's wrong with you. If somebody rents a Tesla, okay, they rent a Tesla, and you rent a Tesla, let's say from a private guy, okay? What is it called? Turo, that you could rent cars from private people. Rent Tesla from Mark, okay? You, Glenn, rent a Tesla from Mark. We have mamish, a lot of good Jewish names in the room. David, Glenn, and Mark. And some weird Moshe guy.
And it's a Lamborghini Urus, not a Tesla.
Okay, so Glenn rents Mark's Tesla. But then Mark wants it back just for a day. You as a renter, if it gets stolen, you're not responsible. But as a borrower, you're responsible for theft, for Gneva Vaveda. So you hear what just happened? Mark is the owner of the Tesla. Glenn rents the Tesla from Mark, pays him $100 a day, he gets the Tesla. Mark says, hey, can I borrow it for an hour? Basically, he's borrowing his own car back, right? And then it's stolen while Mark, the real owner, is driving it. Do we treat him as a borrower or he's the real owner? How would you treat him? Most people in this room would treat him as the real owner, right? No, because you know it's a trick question, right? So how would you treat him? Let's hear, Rabbi. Why?
The shus of the Tesla goes to
What are you doing, Mark? Please. If my face is crooked, I'll stay crooked. You're not by crookening the. What are you trying to do? When I'm not looking, you just put it back.
It's good.
Okay. What is the problem?
The picture is crooked. Go.
Picture's crooked. No, I'm looking at the. It's fine. Just leave it. Leave it. Okay. You're not a photographer. Leave it. Okay. So you're saying that why? Because you learned the mafkid when you were a kid.
Depends if the bias of the Tesla goes to the person.
Okay, you're very good at this. So let me continue. the car wasn't stolen. He rents it back to him for half a day. And then he borrows it from him again, and then it gets stolen at the end. You're too confused.
Tap out.
Tap out. Nice. He's tapping out. What if I told you that he, the owner of the car, has to pay 2 Teslas to him, the renter? You'd be shocked, right? That's what we're going to learn today. It's one of the huge chidushim. So we got to take this back a little bit. So first of all, Yoshi redid our famous chart of the Shemachinam Shemachinam Shoyal. I asked him to do it this way, and I'm actually very happy that he did. So this is not good. Okay. We have here the Shemachinam who's chayiv in a pshia b'potter gneva aveda, and right underneath you can see how. Oh, you can't see. Let me do this.
Hey Rabosai, it's Avi Kamyansky here. I'm one of the Baldwin brothers. Today is the day of our charity campaign. Right now, each and every one of you needs to go online to charity/MDY and donate money. You each should donate at least $100. You've been listening to this year, watching this year, enjoying this year, getting things from this year this entire time. Please help us make our goal. You can do it. Take upon yourself, you're going to donate $100. Put the credit card in today. Let's get it done. And if you've never given to this year, this is your opportunity to give to this year. You've watched it, you've enjoyed it, and you've benefited from it. And we need to show our Akaras Hatov to Reb Eli, who puts in all this time and dedication for the daf. Please donate now. Yasher koach tiskil mitzvos.
So let's just take it from the top. Rav Huna says a very interesting halach. He says that if a shomer, right, you have a guy that's watching a goldfish for somebody else, and the goldfish is stolen, the shomer has 2 options. He's a shomer chinam, as you can see here on this beautiful new chart from Yoshi. The shomer chinam, if he says that it's gneva, that was stolen, he's potter. Doesn't have to pay. But what he does is, he says, you know what, I want to pay. Why does he say that? He says that because he doesn't want to swear. He doesn't want to make a shvuah. Says Rav Huna, smack in the middle of Amud Aleph Beis, he comes up with a chiddush and he says, yeah, he doesn't have to swear, but he does have to swear. He has to swear that it's not in his house. It's not in his rishus. There was a Ma'aseh Shahaya. I want to say it's the first Alexander Rebbe, if I'm not mistaken. There was money stolen from the Beis Medrash, and he went over to a guy, a married guy, and he accused him. He said, you stole the money. So the guy says, you're right, I did. How did you know? What, you have Ruach HaKodesh? He said, no. When we were learning a mafkid, you were learning a mafkid in Cheder, they asked me to come give a fair, and we were speaking about this Gemara. And you asked me, what's the big deal? The guy's going to make a shvuah that it's not in my rishos. He steals the goldfish, and they say, you have to swear that's not in your rishos. You know what you're going to do? You as a kid told me. You take the goldfish, give it to your neighbor, and then you'll swear it's not in your rishos. I'm thinking to myself, says the Alexander Rebbe, a kid that thinks like that, oy vavoy. He has a gnevish cup. That's what he said. Okay, interesting story, whether it happened or not. It could happen. Could have happened. So anyway, the Gemara brings a whole bunch of cases, 4 cases. I don't think we should go through. By the way, just to remind the Olam, this is the original Shem Echinim Shem Esachar chart. And I think this one is a little better. I like the way this one came out. I told Yoshi to do it like this now. Why? Because you could, it's a lot clearer. What's potter for the Shem Echinam is chayev for Shem Esachar. You see, like the second box. What's potter for the Shem Esachar is chayev. It goes in step. Now you can see it a little bit clearer. How each one is worse than the others, going downwards. Okay. One of the boys asked me here, what about a soicher? The Belsky, your son, asked, what about the soicher? Okay, he's either a Shem Esachar or a Shoyal. I'm not going to get into him now. This is the original. Okay, so you can pick and choose. Dolan was wearing coats here. Givaldic. This you don't have to know, but a sela equals 4 dinar or 4 zuz, 2 shekel. To remind the Olam, yesterday we had a case where the malva, the borrower, and the loiva are in agreement that the loan was 1,000. It was a seller. Okay, one seller. The question is, how much is the mashkoin, the collateral, how much is that worth? That's where they have a fight. The loiva says it's worth a shekel. The malva says it's worth a shekel, which is half. The loiva says, no, I deny the whole thing. I borrowed a seller. My sweatshirt is a seller. I don't owe you any money. Great. That's one case. So there's no shvuah there. He's a kaifer akol. If he says the same exact case, he says no. The loiva says it's not worth the full amount of the loan. It's worth a little less. Then he's chayav shvuah. And this is what's going to be important to us. What if the loiva claims that the collateral, the sweatshirt, is worth double the amount of the loan, and that was an upper? Then the malva says it's worth half. In other words, I gave you a selah, and the collateral is only a selah. Now we're even. So he's basically kaifer akol. He's part from shvuah. But the seifa of the seifa, this is the second case in the seifa. The loiva says that the collateral is worth 2 selah, and trying to show me something. Okay, I get it. Later, show. And the malva says, wait a minute. The loan was a selah. The mashkin was 5 dinar, meaning it was a selah plus. So now there's a gap between what the loiva is claiming. The loiva is saying you owe me 2 selah for the collateral. The malva is saying no, I owe you only 3 dinar. Okay, it's maidim makes sense. That's the maidim makes sense. The loiva is saying you owe me for my collateral. And the malva says, yeah, I owe you, but not as much as you're saying. So it's, but it makes sense. So he's chayav shvuah. Okay, now that we have all that, we're holding the last word of Amud Aleph. V'im isal the Ravuna, if it's true, Ravuna says, that what? So yesterday, just to finish off, and to finish what we just said, Gemara tells us the malva has to make the shvuah, not the loiva, because the loiva makes the shvuah, the malva can pull out the mashkin and say, ha, you lied. Here, this is what it's valued. Says the Gemara, and we're going to have to pick this up a little bit, so the other can go to sleep. Once the malva makes the shvuah, what does Ravuna say? Ravuna says that every shomer, every malva has to make a shvuah no matter what. Even if you pay for it, whatever, you get at it, you have to swear that it's not in your rishus. But if he swears that it's not in his possession, so how in the world does he produce the sweatshirt that he just swore that is not in his possession? He's going to look like a fool. What's the Gemara's concern? That he's going to pull out the sweatshirt and say, you loiva say that the sweatshirt is worth 2 selah. Ha! It's only worth 5 dinar. But he swore that it's not in his house. We're talking about a special case that the Edom come and say that the sweatshirt was destroyed, and therefore there's no shvuah. There's no shvuah that's not in your rishus. Why? Because he admits that the Edom admit at least that it was burnt. So if it's true that it was burned, and there's testimony to that, how is he going to produce it? I'll tell you what happened. Not that it was burnt. We have Edom that it was stolen. So if it was stolen, how is he going to produce it? We know that some bad guy stole it. So if the Torah, he looks at the video cameras, he does a lot of research, he asks neighbors, he gets to the Ganav. So even if the malva swears that he doesn't know where it is, the loiva could go produce it. The same way he can produce it, no? So the Gemara says the obvious answer. Not true. The malva knows who's coming and going in his house. In other words, he knows approximately who the ganav is. Does the loiva know who's going in and out of the malva's house? They can figure out who the ganav is? No. No, different zera. He makes a shvuah. But after he makes a shvuah and he swears, he says, oh, by the way, I found it. I thought it's not in my house. Here it is. Happens all the time. You think it's not by you, and you can even swear it's not by you, and then you find it under the couch or something. Another pshat. the loiva and the malva make a shvuah. The malva makes a shvuah, it's not in his possession, and the loiva makes a shvuah, how much was it worth? This is what the Gemara means. But the question is, who has to swear first? Why? Because if somebody swears first, maybe the other one will get him, so to speak. And once you get the guy and prove that he's a liar, he'll never be able to make a shvuah for the rest of his life. The malva makes the shvuah first. Because if the loiva makes the shvuah first, perhaps the malva will bring out the pikadon and show him that he's wrong. Ravuna bar Achliva mishmei the Rav Amar. Reisha the seifa to yuftal Ravuna. Here we go. Just check this out for a second. This is seifa the seifa because it's seifa 2. Seifa 1 is Reisha the seifa. It's the beginning of the seifa. There's 4 cases. The second 2 cases are called the seifa. What's the case? The loan was for 1 selah. The loiva claims that he gave collateral, which is normal, by the way. If you want to borrow $1 million, you can't give a $500,000 collateral. And usually you don't give $1 million. You usually give a $2 million collateral, right? Why would somebody want a collateral that's exactly the same value of the loan? He wants to have a guarantee that you're going to pay him back, that you're going to go out of your way. So a lot of times you take way more than the loan. You'll take 2 times. Over here, he gave a sweatshirt that's worth 2 selah for a loan that is only a selah. And the malva claims, and he says, no, I gave you a selah. The sweatshirt was 1 selah. I don't owe you a thing. What is that called? Kaifer bakal. And therefore, he's patur from a shvuah. Says the Gemara, that's a contradiction to Rav Huna. Why? Rav Huna about the Rav Amar to save it to you to Rav Huna. That's the question of Rav Huna. Selah, Visani Olav, I gave you selah. Shtaim Yeshava, but the collateral is worth 2. Valo and the Malva says loiki, not true. Eloki said Elo selah v'sichalav. I gave you 1 selah. Selah Yeshava, the sweatshirt is only worth 1 selah. Patis patur from a shvuah. B'mi, so the Rav Huna, if Rav Huna is right, that every malva in the world makes a shvuah that what? That it's not in my possession. So, we have another case. Hold on, let's just get past this. This is Yoshi's chart that I didn't like, and I told him to do the one with the people like this. But Yoshi likes this, so we're going to show it here. We're pausing here for Yoshi. Great. Sefer, Reisha, wee. Okay, great. Wrong. Next. Okay. There's something called a Gilgul Shvuah. Gilgul Shvuah means that if you're not supposed to make a Shvuah on something, but I get you to make a Shvuah on something else. Let's say, there's no Shvuah on a karka. I can't invoke a Shvuah on karka, on real estate. But if I get you to make a Shvuah on metaltalin, then I can make you make a Shvuah on real estate. That's called a Gilgul. I roll it in. If Rav Huna is right, that every case has a Shvuah, every malva has a Shvuah, then I can roll in whatever I want. So let me roll in another Shvuah. So the malva automatically should make a shvuah on how much it's worth. Rav Huna is wrong. You see, from the fact that malva doesn't make such a shvuah, why not? Once I get the malva to make a shvuah that it's not in his possession, let's throw in another shvuah for fun. Why not? I told this over to Rav Kahana. He said, let's say that we're talking about a case where he trusts him. Okay, he trusts him. He doesn't have to swear. So then let the loiva believe the malva. How much is it worth? No, the malva doesn't know how much it's worth. He didn't buy it. Let's say, right, in my case, that I have a bunch of watches that people gave me as collateral. I have no clue how much they're worth. The guy that bought it, the loiva knows exactly how much it's worth. He's the one that bought it. The malva doesn't know. You don't have Google. You can't go in 2 seconds and find out how much something is worth. Why does the loiva believe to the malva, but the malva is not believed to the loiva? So it says the Gemara, says the Gemara, because the loiva looks up to the malva. It's natural for a person borrowing money to look up to the person that he's borrowing from and say, hey, this guy made it. Why did he make it? Because he's doing the right thing. Okay? Whether it's true or not, because he's doing the right thing, that's why he has it good. Malvim came baby loiva, and the Malva looks down at the borrower and he says, you know why he has to come on to me? He has it bad because he's not doing the right thing. So Mela, the Malva is the good guy, so he's trustworthy. The loiva is the bad guy, is not trustworthy in his mind. Says the Gemara story, the afkid kifei gabei d'chavrei. There's a person who had somebody's friend watch a pair of earrings for him. Omerlei, have the kifei. He comes to him and says, okay, I'd like the earrings back. Omerlei lo'idana heicha isfinu. You know what? You're right. You gave them to me. I don't know where I placed them. I know I put them in a very safe spot, a little bit too safe. So safe, I have no idea where they are. Yeah? Happens sometimes. You try to hide something and you hide from yourself. Says the Gemara. Also came over the Rav Nachman. They go to Rav Nachman. If you don't know where it is, you're negligent. Zil Shelaima, you have to pay. Lo Yishilam, he's a bad guy, didn't pay. I should have looked it up. I remember that we had this once before. I'm pretty sure it's Rav Nachman that he took somebody's mansion. You don't know where the earrings are? I'm taking away your mansion in Cedarhurst. Says Gemara L'Soif Yishtakach Kipei v'Yakor. They found the earrings, and guess what? The price went up for the earrings. Or Rav Nachman Hadri Kipei l'Marayu. So now we're jumping into a new halacha that when you take property from somebody because they don't pay a loan, perhaps if that guy could come up with the money eventually, he could get his property back. Over here, we took away his property. He found the earrings. He gives the earrings back. He gets his property back. So I'm not exactly sure if these were the world's most expensive earrings, that the mansion is worth as much as the earrings, or mansions just didn't have any value in those days. I don't know. I'm assuming mansions, mansion was like, instead of 8 feet by 8 feet, that was a typical house, then 4 by 4 amas. So it's like 6 by 6 amas. He had like a mansion made out of mud with a mud floor, and the earrings were diamond earrings, so it could be that the mansion was worth a little less than the earrings. I don't know. Omer Rav Nachman. Yes, we said this already. Omer Ovo, have you seen the Rav Nachman uparkin amafkid hava? Listen to this. This is the only time in Shas. You hear it, Victor? The only time in Shas that perik hamafkid, or that any perik for that fact, is mentioned in Shas. There's no other place in Shas that talks about a perik. Says Rava, when I was learning by Rav Nachman the perik of Mafkid, v'amri lei shilim v'lerotz l'shava, and I asked him, but what about the halacha that I have the option of paying as a shomer? I could pay, and I get to keep the item l'chayra. By the way, Rabbi Basman says, why did Rav have to say, when I was learning perik of Mafkid? Who cares what you were learning? You were sitting in front of Rav Nachman. Many times in Shas, you say, I asked Rav Nachman this question. Rav asked Rav Nachman dozens of times, maybe hundreds of times. I don't know. I didn't look it up. But many, many, many times, Rav asked Rav Nachman. He doesn't say, I was learning Chulin and I asked Rav Nachman this. So, Rabbi Basman says, perhaps, it's showing you to be like an Anav. Instead of Rav saying, I know all of Shas, no, you know why I had a good question over there? You know why I was very familiar? Because we happen to be learning that particular parak, and therefore I was familiar with him. That's why I asked the question. He didn't answer my question. I said, look, if you pay with a mansion, you get to keep it. You get to keep the earrings. Says Rav Nachman was right for not answering. He didn't not answer because it was a great question. He didn't answer because it's a dumb question. Or he didn't like the question. Shouldn't say dumb and Rav. Chas v'shalom. My timer. Rav himself is saying, look, it wasn't a good question. Why? When do we say this halacha that the owner conveys over the item to the shomer? When he appreciates the shomer. He says, this guy didn't have to pay me. He could have just said it was stolen and I would get 0. And he decided to come out of pocket and pay me for my item. I have appreciation to him. I'm going to give him the kefil. I'm going to give it to him. But if the guy strings him along, brings him to Bezin every day, And I don't know if anyone here was in Bezin, but it takes months and years. You go again and again and again until there's a psak, and it's a big hassle. So I'm going to give you a gift because you schlepped me to Bezin? No way. So now we don't have that svara that he owns it. L'meimra. Okay, now we're going to a new sugi, everybody. New sugi. L'meimra, the Sarah Ita is shum hada. Perhaps Reb Nachman holds that shuma hodar. Oh, so we have very nice. Look at this. This is gewaldig. Shuma hodar. Shuma means that if Bezdin assesses the value of the mansion, and Bezdin decides to give the mansion to the lender, they foreclose on your mansion, right? That's how it's called. You don't pay the loan, they foreclose on it, they take it away from you. You, halachically, will see in the Gemara that you could get back your foreclosed house. How beautiful is that? In America, it's not like that. You lose your house to the bank, that's it. It's farfalan, it's a big rachmanas. But we're saying over here that if you lose your house to the bank, and then you come up with the money one day, you could redeem your house from whoever it is. Here's the case. Your boys say you have a loiva. Reuven on the right is the borrower. Shimon on the left is the lender. The lender gave the money. The Reuven couldn't come up with a payment. So the lender gets the house. Then one day, here, a few months go by, and Reuven pays up. So he redeems his house back. Great. It gets more interesting. From over here, you see this idea that you could get your. Reb Nachman said, give him back the palace. Why? Because he came up with the earrings. So the main of the Savar Reb Nachman, like 8 lines from the bottom. Savar Reb Nachman Shuma Hadar. You see that you could get back your real estate. You can redeem it. Says Gemara, no right. Shani was in the Shuma B'Talas house. What was the case by the earrings? He didn't know that he had the earrings. All of a sudden, he found them in the hiding place. So it's a mistake. The kahoya kibe mikara, kihava the kibe mikara. However you want to read it, the point is the earrings were always by him. It was just a mistake. He shouldn't have lost his mansion for that. Amri Nardo. How long could somebody redeem his house from? Right in a typical foreclosure scenario, you lost your house to the bank and you're allowed to redeem it. How long? 6 years later? 25 years later? How long? In Arda, they said, Atresi Archishat, you have 12 months. What do you mean? I'm in Narda. I'm from Narda. Usfirli, and I hold Shuma Hadar Lo'ilam. You have all for a lifetime. Shuma Hadar Lo'ilam. You have a lifetime. And listen to this. This Rabbi Yisai, if he stuck around just for this pasuk, for this idea, is Kedai. Shenemar v'asiso hayosher v'atoiv. You shall do what's straight and good. What does that mean? V'asiso, repeat this out loud. You know what? We should say it together. Everybody say, yeah, Bemis, I'm just thinking about it now. It came to me. I think it's a great idea. I'm going to say it once, and you're going to say it after me. V'asiso hayosher v'atoiv. V'asiso hayosher v'atoiv. Gewaldig. Mamish gewaldig. What does it mean? It means you should be straight, even though the Torah and the halacha says this. But in our case, they foreclose on this guy. Halachically, you can foreclose and take his house away. I know people that their houses were taken away by other from people. Not that it's halachically they could, but is it yashar and toiv? Is it straight and right? No. Something you have to go above and beyond what the halacha says. V'asisa hayashar v'hatoiv. That you're right. No, so you have the right. But now that you're in the guy's house and he wants to pay you the loan, 25 years later, he comes up with the cash. He won the lottery. He says, listen, the house is sentimental to me. I grew up, I was born in the house. It's my father's house. It's his father's house. They worked hard and I grew up in this neighborhood. Do me a favor. Here, take the $1 million that I owed you. I know I'm sorry. It's 6 years later. Please give me the house. You could be a jerk and say no. Or you could do Vasisa Hatoiv Hayosher. That's all the Gemara is saying here. Vasisa Hayosher Hatoiv. Sorry. Vasisa Hayosher Hatoiv. people used to ask Reb Elyashiv, am I allowed to do this tricky thing? I could do this, go to the bank and open up 3 credit cards and then give it that, and I'll gain $600. You allowed to do that? Is a mutar pi halacha. So you tell them, would the Chavetz Chaim do it? In other words, yeah, halachically you could do it. Yeah. But would the Chavetz Chaim do it? Is it vasisa hayashar ha'atoiv? Pshita. Shamulei lebalchoy vazal iu v'shamul lebalchoy didei. So Rabbi Yisrael, here's the case. It's beautiful. You have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Now we're just going to add to the same case one more guy. What happened? A guy borrowed money. The guy didn't have. He couldn't pay back the loan. You're right. He's not the biggest, nicest guy in the world, but okay, he lost his house. Shimon doesn't give the guy a chance, and he goes. He also has a loan, okay, and he gives the collateral. He gives the house that he foreclosed on. He gives it to his lender. The lender has a lender. Okay? I mean, the guy, Reuven, he had a house, you know where. Place. He had a house in, what's the worst neighborhood? Kensington. No, I'm just kidding. No, he has a house in Gaza. Great. He has a house in Gaza. So what is he going to do? Yishkoyach, you gave me back a loan. No, what am I going to do? So he takes it and gives it right back to his lender. Here, you take it. Great. So now, could the original guy, Reuven, get his house back from Levi? You hear the Shelaima? What if Reuven paid Levi cash instead of Shimon paying Levi cash? You're saying yes. Let's see what the Gemara says. Pshita, Shamulei lebalchoiv, vazal iu, and Shimon, the middle guy, b'shamul lebalchoiv didei, and he gave it over to the guy that he owes money to. Amrin and Lei, so they tell Levi, like odef at megaver daisis mino. You Levi are no better than Shimon. And Shimon, if Reuven approached Shimon with money, he would have to give up the mansion. So Levi has to give up the mansion also. He's no better from the guy he's coming from. He fits into that guy's shoes. Says Gemara, but what if Shimon, we just take it back to here, okay? Shimon owns the house now, right? He foreclosed on a house. What if Shimon sold the house? What if Shimon died and his inheritors have the house? What if Shimon gave it as a gift? Those 3 individuals get to keep the house forever. Why? They don't have the pasuk vasisa hayashar ha'atoiv. Vasisa hayashar ha'atoiv is between you and the borrower. But when you sell it, why the guy that bought it has no clue that something happened there. The guy that got it as a gift, what does he know? He gets to keep it, says the Gemara. Zabna, Urta, he inherited it. How do you say inherited it? You convey to the Yarshim. Inherit means you inherit. How do you say you? Bequeath. You bequeath. Thank you. Something like that. B'matan, v'yav you gave it to b'matan and somebody. V'ad had to mikor adaita the aro nochus v'lav adaita the zudin nochus. So, certainly, huh? It's good.
Hey, perfect.
These people don't know about. Is that a Victor again? Because I'm not even going to look. When he talks regular, the whole neighborhood is. When he whispers,
he's excited because Hanan Firestone just gave you $5,000 for you.
Oh my gosh! In loving memory of Rebelli's lost ski gear.
That's why Victor's excited.
That is something to be excited. Well, Hanan Feinstein gave $5,000 two hours ago.
Just now.
Is it another $5,000? Check it out. It looks like $10,000. Wow, what a great line. Elchanan, you're the boss. For that, it's worth stopping this year. The famous Maisa, it didn't happen with Elchanan Feinstein. It happened with another one of my cousins. Also a tremendous Magachir named Eli from Lincoln. Also went to NYU straight out of Torah College, and the only guy back then in the day that ever did that. Scored a perfect score on the LSATs and everything else in his life. And he happens to be one of my best friends. He borrowed my ski gear and he didn't return it. He returned it right into my hand. Just, I thought that it would be a good story to make up that he didn't return it to me and he put it in front of my house in a garbage bag. And then the story continues that my cleaning lady, this is the last time everybody's ever saying the story because he doesn't let me say the story. And it didn't happen. It was made up, especially that he gave $5,000.
Yes, for it.
He wrote, in loving memory of Eli's lost ski gear. Wow. And he gave $5,000 a few hours ago. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, you all know the story that didn't happen. Chas v'shalom. We have charat if ever saying the story. We'll never say it again. We just buried that story the last time it was said right here in Moti Bosky's house. Okay, and it wasn't even said. Berech. Anybody else want to give $5,000 in middle share? Avigdor Fold could speak as loud as he wants.
That was a whisper.
No, it was good. It was a good thing that he stopped it. Okay, let's go weiter. Now I woke up. They gave a woman a mansion. She is the lender. She, like in this picture of Shimon, she's instead of Shimon. There's a woman in. She lent money, she got a mansion. And then she got married. So when a woman comes into a marriage with a property, she's the owner of the property, but her husband gets to benefit from the property, right? Again, like a typical marriage. We have any Yehudim, so we have to be a little bit more careful. You know what I'm saying? No problem. So, hey, I know what that is. What? Anyway, or they took away a mansion from her, and she has a husband. She has a husband. So how does the husband fit into this picture? Umayson, as she dies, says the Gemara, Yisoid, Baal b'nichsei ishtoi loikeach. A husband is considered a buyer. He's not like his wife, he's a buyer. So Mela, loy mehader v'loy madrin alei. Therefore the halach would be, he has a buyer, since he bought it, he doesn't have to give it to anybody. V'loy madrin alei, you don't give it back to him? Okay. Because Rabbi Chanina says, they made a takana in Usha. So let's just show for real quickly what this nichse milug is. So nichse milug. Over here we have lachluchas, our famous lachluchas. There was somebody from Baltimore who dressed up like lachluchas. It's a great job with the feet, with the whole elephant ears, the whole thing. This lachluchas owns a nursing home. Before she got married, she gets married. So what happens when she gets married? She married Lit from Nazir. Lit. He has a way to. No, he's a drinker. You know what I'm saying? He needs cash. He's always strapped for cash. He's definitely not doing anything with the nursing home, and therefore the nursing home goes down in value. And because he drinks so much, he goes kaput. He goes bye-bye. So what happens is the woman gets back the nursing home as is, Shalom Yisrael, because it's nichse milug. This nichse tzar bars though, where the same nursing home, she comes into the marriage and she says, you have to guarantee me the $1 million price. If you divorce me, give me back the $1 million. But nichse milug means no. He doesn't really own it. She's the owner, but he gets to benefit from it as long as they're married. And if the price goes down, it's her loss. So she dies. He's considered a buyer. So if he's a buyer and he bought it from her, so then she had no right to sell it, even though she was married and she's the real owner. And that's the end of the story. Now we're holding a brand new sugi Daf Yomi Beis, and this is gonna fly. Sponsor. Great time for sponsors. By the way, I noticed that Kidnovations LLC, in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, gave $1,000 to our campaign. So he's a big part of the Daf from Baltimore. What's his name again? Anybody? What?
Eli. He's anonymous.
Right.
Take it out.
The most famous anonymous person. Thank you. In MDY, there's no anonymous. Okay. Kidnovations LLC and Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, zechus Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga. Gewalt. Akiva Simcha. You know what's going on here? Let me ask some real estate people here. Like a mutti, a person borrows money from somebody else and he doesn't have the money to pay back, so he decides to give that guy his house instead of cash. Do we say the same halacha that if later on comes up with cash, 2 years later he comes up with cash, could he get his house back? Or perhaps no, because he gave his house away, voluntarily. The Bezdin didn't say he has to give it. He decided, instead of $1 million, just give my house. I don't have cash, I'll give my house. Could he take his house back? Could he redeem it? Is Yosef in this case? You say no, I say no also. I agree with you. But who are we to agree? Let's see what the Gemara says. Machlokes. But to me, it makes sense that he shouldn't be able to, right? That's my. But me and you are not on a level of saying what our opinion is right now. He never gets that piece of real estate back. So this is a perfect sale. Nobody forced him. He did it on his own. And the one that says that it goes back, it wasn't a good sale. The reason why he did it on his own and he didn't go to Bezdin, he was very embarrassed. So here's a situation. I didn't look into it, but we had it a few times. Sometimes we say, hey, what you were embarrassed, not our problem, you did it. But over here, for some reason, we say, look, we have to be understanding, and it's our job to figure out that this guy didn't really want to give away his house. Look, he worked his whole life to build it and this and that. All of a sudden he's going to give it because he had a loan? No, he was embarrassed. So there is still when can the malva start? When he forecloses on a house, when does he start taking the benefits of the nursing home? From that moment, from 5 moments earlier, when? Here's the video I wanted to show yesterday. It's still not working. Great. Here's a new concept in Shas, adrachta, which means that when Bezdin gives you a shtar and says you can take property away from the labor, go look for some property, take it. You didn't pay your loan, go after his real estate. From that moment, there's a 90-day break, and then you get an adrachta, which Rabbi Yosef Ben Chaya Sara says, here's a remez to Hasidim who say that Zois Chanukah is like the Gemar Din, because it comes 90 days after Rosh Hashanah. Okay, there's a little bit of a remez here. Abaye says, and we had this Abaya that it goes by the signature of the day, and as soon as they sign, boom, it goes into effect. When you stop announcing, how much do you announce? Ramos says 30 days. The Mechaber says when people stop coming. Says the Eli Mishnah sponsored by. Who's the sponsor? Moshe Cohen. No? Not Moshe Cohen. Moshe Cohen. In honor of him being Masliach and Ruchnius and in Gashmis. Says the Mishnah here we have a cow rental. Check this out. We have a Gevaldika. Here's a guy that rented a cow from the cow rental. What is it called? Agency. Cow rental agency. He rented a cow. This guy does business with the cow. He lends it to somebody. It's a great deal. I'll tell you why. Because a soicher, what happens when a soicher has a cow that dies on its own? Just drops dead. What's the halacha? No, it's not Mizimach. It's drop dead by its own. What's the halacha? Why?
It's honest.
What?
It's honest.
Very good. Very good. What's your name?
Ben Salman.
You had to think about it for a second. Trust me, if you ask me my name right now, it'll take me at least a minute. So, I'm trying to think what my name is. So Ben Salman says that if it dies, it's aynus, and a soicher is pater from aynus. What's your first name? Y. Belsky says that Meismach Masulacha, who's pater from Meismach Masulacha? A child. Very good. But that's not what happened there. It died on its own. Check this out. You see the picture? It died on its own, not while he was working it. So it's an unbelievable chap what happens here. You're a renter. You borrowed a car. You paid to rent a car for 1 day. Tesla, $100 a day. You lend it to somebody. Are you allowed to lend it to anybody? Not really. But in this case, you could because the guy told you could. He lends it to somebody. The guy that borrows it, it dies in his back, in his front, and in the driveway, let's say. So because he's a shoyl, he has to pay full price to the Tesla. To who? To the soicher. Very good. The soicher is potter because he's a renter. Renter is potter for minus. So it comes out like this: the soicher doesn't have to pay the Tesla back to the original owner. The guy that borrowed it pays the Tesla to the soicher. He walks away with an $80,000 car. It's great business. Now you know why he lent it to somebody. He's such a nice guy. He rented it for $100,000 and gives it to his friend. He wants the guy to. He heard the engine knocking a little bit, but if it was Meis Machmas, it's different. Then it would be potter. Okay, so and it dies on its own without working it. All the renter has to do is swear that it died as is. And the borrower has to pay not the original owner, but the renter. So now you see what I asked you all in the beginning, that whatever your name is, Rabbi, what's your name?
Ben.
Leighton? Ben Leighton?
No, he's Ben.
Oh, no, I'm pointing that way. Everybody's seeing cross.
Josh Lee.
Josh Leighton, of course. Did you ever write me stuff?
Many
Many times. Okay, that's
better than Baruch Shafin.
Wow. So maybe you should come with a picture next time. No? Okay. Gival, how long are you doing the daf with me? Wow. What is that, 3 years? Wow. Besides Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Givaldik. There was a guy, maybe I'll show it tomorrow if I remember, if I can find him. The guy gave $352 because he wrote 20-something daf of Megillah, 119 daf of Abukama, and 352. $1 for every daf you learned with MDY. You owe me a lot of money, Josh. You can't do business with somebody else's Tesla. It's not fair. He owns the Tesla. He rented it to you. How are you going to make a Tesla on him? So what you do is you give back the para to the owner. The Chavetz Chaim says, he takes this lashon. Says the Chavetz Chaim, imagine if you wanted to do a run of, I don't know, invitations, right? So you go to a factory that has all the printing stuff and everything, and you go, could I borrow your machines? They say, sure. And you print invitations. Now you're going to have to pay for that usage. You can't just walk into somebody's factory and pay and use it. And then you sell it and you do it, whatever you do it. Says Chavetz Chaim, this is the Rachmanas that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had on us, and the beauty that he has with us, is that he gives us our body. It's not ours, it's his. And we do mitzvahs with it, and we get full sechar. With somebody, it's not even ours. We're oisa zchira beparosei shel chaverei. That's what he says. We're doing zchira with somebody else's cow. Hashem's cows. Omalei Ravidi Baroven Labaya. Michti soicher b'may konelai para. How does the renter get a hold of this? How does it become his? Bishvua. Obviously, it was through him swearing to the owner that it died on its own, not machmas malacha. Says the Gemara of an maskele soicher. So the owner, the original owner, the guy that rented it out, he should tell the renter, Daland v'dal shvasach. I don't need you, and I don't need Yeshua. Don't do me any favors. Don't swear. I'm going to go directly, me, the owner of the Tesla. I'm going to go directly to the borrower. You're the middleman. Get out of here. You think it's the shvua that made the car his? No. As soon as the car dies, then it becomes the soichers. So the owner, the original owner, must deal with the renter. He can't tell him, get out of here. So then why does he swear? Just to calm the owner down. This is one of the most complicated charts. Yoshi told me this was probably the most complicated for him to do. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, I could see there's a lot of pieces moving, but it's gewaldig. I'll show it to you. We'll do this balpet, and then we can see it inside in Chap Devar. It's very, very interesting. Oh, I'm just continuing that. This is the chart. It's gewaldig. A guy rents a cow for 100 days. Boom. Okay? He rented it for 100 days. After he rents the cow for 100 days, the original owner borrows it from him for how much? 90 days. Then, check this out. Step 3. You didn't have it this cool. This is much cooler than what your Rebbe did, for sure. Then he rented the same cow for 80 days. Hold on a second. Why? Well, I was excited there. He knows the sugya. Since the original owner has the cow for 90 days, it's his now for 90, but the guy needs a cow. He needs a Tesla. So he rents it again for 80. And then he lends it to him for 70. So Rabbi say, the cow dies. Eventually, going back and forth, the cow just drops dead. You're not going to believe what happens here. The guy that borrowed the cow twice in step 2 and in step 4, he has to pay 2 full cows. Even though it's one cow that died at the end, and even though he's the actual owner of the cow, he has to pay the renter 2 cows. Does it make any sense to anybody? I want to know what the video guy's thinking. Does it make sense to you? Not really. That's what I thought. Yeah? So let's see inside, and that's the end of the sugya. Sometimes it comes out that the original owner of the Tesla must pay 2 Teslas to the guy that rented it from him. No, obviously, this never happened in reality. What we're trying to see in terms of halacha, how does it work? If this would happen, this would be the halacha. How? Echidami, what's the case? He rented it for 100 days. Then the original owner said, hey, by the way, could I borrow it for 90 days? What would happen if he would say, could I borrow it for 100 days? Why? What would happen if he said, I want to borrow for 100 days? Does it ruin the whole story?
You're still borrowing it back afterwards.
That's what you would think. So why does the Gemara say 90 days? So they say that it does ruin the whole thing. Why? Because if I rent my Tesla out for 100 days and then I borrow it back from the guy for 100 days, in essence, what I'm doing is I'm canceling the rental. I'm showing that the rental is canceled. But if I let the rental remain for 10 days, I'm borrowing for part of that 100 days, then the rental is still in effect and I become a borrower. I'm just a regular borrower off the street. Just because I am the real owner doesn't mean anything. Because what's the difference if I borrow it or Mark Ashkenazi borrows it? We're borrowing from the same guy. Who cares? And then since I borrowed it, I can rent it right back to you. And that's what happened there. It's a crazy story, I know, but it's for the Vart. He's saying it's possible, halachically, that something like this can happen. And from this, we could just invoke other halachas. Based on this idea, we could learn from this other things. What? I have no idea, but other things. Hechidami.
Nachman Seltzer wanted to add something.
Nachman Seltzer.
Wait.
Nachman Seltzer is where you're sitting.
Yeah, I know.
I'm confused completely. Hechidami agrimene. May yomi v'other shayla minei tishim yomi v'other agrimene taman yomi that he borrowed. He rented them for 80. V'other shayla minei then he borrowed it from shivim yomi for 70. Umeisa v'sochi meishi lost and then he died. That calls she'ela. You know what? We got to do this thing again, I think, because I'm telling you, Yoshi told me this is the most complicated thing that he's ever done. I don't know how these things work. I don't know any inputs he has to do in PowerPoint. Let's see it again. He rented a cow for 100 days. The guy that owns the rental place borrows it for 90. So the guy, now he went to get it. Now he went to get it back. Whee! 70, 80, 90, 100. Beautiful. Great job. I think everybody understands the sugi now. Seriously. Just as well as YY understood it before we started. He says it doesn't make any sense. Rabbi, it doesn't make sense. It's one cow. It's one car. Came. Went from renting to borrowing. At the end of the day, you're only dealing with one. How do you get to two? Is it in front of us that you could say it's one, it's two? It's a theoretical thing, so you owe me two. No, there's only two cows here. There's only one cow for borrowing and one cow for renting. The Shela Kani Ligamri, the guy that borrowed it, says completely. The Schirus of the Bell, Yemei Schirusei Umahadalela More. Now, for the rental portion, the extra Schirus that's left over, he has to give him, he has to provide him for those extra days that are left over. And that's it. So Rabbi Isai, Yishkoyach for being a part of this. I'm sorry for scaring you in the middle. Hopefully it was a false alarm. And continue doing what you're doing. Bezer Hashem, tomorrow we're going to hear Surah's Toivus that we raised $1 million, and Glenn Ackerman is going to have $2,000 on his page. The Yoel was asked to have Rachmanis on the guy. His daughter is the top ping pong player in the world, so that's why you should get extra credit. And with that, have a wonderful evening, or a wonderful day, I should say, Eretz Yisrael. Thank you for coming.